Welcome to Madison City Channel's Know Your Candidates interviews, co-sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Dane County. I'm your interviewer, Louise Robbins, and I would like to introduce Sheri Carter, running for Alder from District 14. As we begin, please tell our viewers a bit about your educational, vocational, and civic experience, how it has prepared you for the position, and why you decided to run for Alder.
Thank you, Louise. I am a Madison native, born and raised, lived in South Madison for a long time. I went to the University of Wisconsin, got my degree in economics, and I've been involved in community engagement ever since. I've worked as president of the South Metropolitan Planning Council, which is an umbrella for eight neighborhood associations. But in addition to working with neighborhood associations, I've also worked with residents and helping them navigate through the city process. The other thing that I think that's important is that I believe that all of my civic duties and outreach has prepared me to run for Alder for District 14. I'm actually running for re-election. I was the vice president of the council, and I'm the current president of the council.
What issue or issues have you identified as being of primary concern to the residents of your district, and how would you approach tackling them?
Well, I think that transportation is one of the, I think, biggest priorities and concerns for my district. As you know, our public transportation, there's a lot to be desired. When it takes 2 hours to get to your job, that puts you at a disadvantage. So I would like to see, whether we get the BRT or not, increase in routes that go to the employment hub of our cities. And that's not just downtown, but let's say out to American Hospital and as far west as we can go. I think that will enable my residents and my constituents to really look at upward mobility regarding jobs.
Thank you. There will be an advisory referendum on the ballot in April about a number of modifications to the Common Council, including changing the number of members, making it full-time, and changing the term of office. Which of the ideas being advanced do you embrace? Why or why not?
Well, I think that there's a disadvantage of reducing the council. When you reduce the council to 10, your districts are bigger. It's going to cost more money to actually campaign. I think the advantage of having 20 is that your districts are smaller and it's much easier to go from door to door to campaign and to really get to know your constituents. I think that when you look at Milwaukee, for example, which has huge districts in 10 alders, it really enlightens you onto the difficulties of that would be.
Thank you. Homelessness, evictions, and lack of affordable housing are vexing problems for Madison that seem to have been exacerbated in the time of COVID-19. What ideas would you advance or support to help solve these problems?
Well, Madison needs more affordable housing, and I've always been an advocate for affordable housing. I think that we also need to turn our attention to health equity. I think the pandemic has really, not that we didn't know about health equity before, but I think the pandemic has raised the bar for all of us to see. And I think that we really need to look at health equity and what we can do to make sure that all of our residents are getting the same care when it comes to medical attention, whether that's in the hospital or going to the doctor's office. So those are the two things that I think that we will always need to really work on and improve. I am also looking at what the state can do to help in that area. So affordable housing is number one. We need to, regarding eviction and homelessness, I think that we need to really step back and pull the layers back a little bit and look at prevention. We want to get to the person before they become homeless. And once they become homeless, we want to get to them within the first 2 years of homelessness. I think that having a city program just on eviction prevention would be a benefit, that it would not just, there's other organizations out here that also work on it, but together there should be a consortium and we should all be working together on those two things.
Thank you. With the selection of a new police chief and the creation of a community oversight board, there's a lot of attention focused on policing and criminal justice, both from the perspective of racial equity in law enforcement and the concern of many citizens that in fact crime, especially car thefts and home burglaries, is increasing and the police response is inadequate. How would you deal with these concerns?
Well, first of all, I think that it's great that we have the Citizen Oversight Board. It's the first one in the state. I hope that this really sprouts other cities and towns to get one. I think that one of the things that we have to do, again, is we got to go back and look at the root cause of why we having so many car thefts, so many shots fired, etc. And part of the root cause is jobs. And the root cause, again, we're looking at the lack of employment and the lack of really looking at entry-level employment. We need to really look at that. We need to also look at the new chief who's coming in, and I can't wait for him to take the reins, although I think that that's nothing against acting Chief Wall. I think that the new chief is going to be bringing in really new ideas and really doing the deep dive into how we can turn some of this around. I think that the independent monitor with the Citizen Oversight Board, the Citizen Oversight Board doing outreach, and the new chief, all three entities working together to really give us recommendations on what we can do as a council. It is very easy to say what people should do that are residents of our city, but at one point in time, we have to walk in their shoes. And so I think that between the council, I know that the North Side Alders and the South Madison District 14 Alders can work together in order to really look at it, because it's in District 1, it seems like this is where all of the activity is happening. I can't wait for the new chief to come in and roll up his sleeves with the rest of us and really look at how we can turn this around. Madison is a beautiful city. I'm not just talking visually, it's a beautiful city to live in. I've lived here all my life. Let's make it beautiful for everybody.
Thank you. Madison businesses of all kinds have been severely stressed during the past year. What, if anything, would you propose to support business revitalization?
Well, I think there's two things. I think number one, we do have an economic development department within the city, but I do feel that we need to really have, and we do have the SBER program, Small Business Emergency Recovery Program. I think that we need to have within the economic department, section just for small businesses and their recovery. Small businesses are the backbone of this nation. And not only that, small businesses provides people with their first job and second chances. And I think that we should be doing everything we can to get them back on the recovery road. Just look at State Street, for example, and it goes beyond State Street. I do think that we need to look at not only federal government, state government, but even the city needs to put their hands up and contribute to helping small businesses and the employees that they hire.
Thank you. What measures should Madison take to increase our city's environmental sustainability?
Well, there's so many measures that we need to take. We need to take the lead. We need to take the lead in really looking at environmental, not only sustainability, but prevention of any kind of contamination. When you look at the PFAS, when you look at our lakes, these are things that whether you use them or not, or whether you're affected or not, it affects the environment. When it affects the environment, it affects the state. When it affects the state, it affects the nation. And we need to take the lead in protecting our environment. I mean, we all have to breathe and we all have to live. We all have to drink water. So it is across the board on working together to protect our environment and really looking at, again, I hate to create another department or division, but we really need to really look at that along with public health, something joint that we can have a watchful eye on the environment in Madison.
Thank you. On what committees would you like to serve and why?
Oh my goodness. Well, I can tell you that I would really like to probably serve on the Plan Commission. The Plan Commission really looks at developments that are coming into the city and where they're located. And the Plan Commission also, we look at developments that sometimes doesn't have the transportation there yet. Should we be going out that far when there's no transportation? So I think that the Plan Commission would be one of the ones that I would like to serve on. I absolutely enjoy serving on the Madison Art Commission and Finance. It's hard to choose. I've been on a few of them that I really have gained a lot of knowledge on, but I do think the Plan Commission is so vitally important because it affects everybody.
Thank you. Now, what would you like to say to the viewing audience as we complete this interview?
Well, what I like to say is that as Alder of District 14, I brought the largest development into South Madison, which was Arbor Gate, at a time when other developers were saying, don't build in South Madison. Arbor Gate has turned out to be very successful. In addition to that, I supported the Goodman South Madison campus. This campus is vital for people looking to retrain and to be trained. And then you look at the Villager, what it was and what it is now. It is a mecca for nonprofit organization, community-based organization, and I was part of that. And very proud to be part of that. I think that when you look through what I've done, I've always tried to work through the issues and work across the board. We don't really have a board, but across the table and next to the person you're sitting next to. I think it's so important nowadays of collaboration. And if you're not willing to collaborate, then it's hard to get things done. I'm very proud of being a South Madison resident, proud to be a Madison native, and proud to continue being the District 14 Alder.
I want to thank Sheri Carter for speaking with us and the viewing audience for taking the time to know your candidates. As with every election, please vote. On behalf of Madison City Channel and the League of Women Voters of Dane County, I thank you for joining us.